After he hit a 500-foot homer yesterday.
Yeah. I got a buddy that's a big Orioles fan down in Austin. And he was like, oh, he hit it a long way. I was like, yeah, I wonder why.
Trumbo
put your
hit a long
headset
one,
on.
too.
Make sure you can hear everything. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. You good? You hear yourself?
Test.
There we go. All right.
Is that close enough, or are my levels good?
If during the show you come in light, I'll crank you up a little bit.
All right.
But you should be fine. I usually turn that mic way up because people end up having to sit further back.
It's so weird not having a hat on.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's
Do we need to find one for you?
no.
Yeah, Texas tested or a Permian?
No.
I think it's
I have a video conference later on, so what little hair I have left, I need to make sure it's in good working order.
Yeah.
The joys of corporate America.
You haven't decided to just go full shave it all?
When my wife comes back, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need her to tell me I'm still good looking, so I need that. I need that reassurance.
Live headquarters in Carrollton, Texas, the jewel of the Lone Star State.
Nobody says that.
It is, wow. I'm going to tell the Carrollton CVB you said that.
I
said it, Carrollton.
I feel quite strongly that no one will care in Carrollton.
It is DCTF Live, an internet show for humans. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com, a magazine and a website, respectively. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. I'm sitting in one chair. Sitting in another chair is Max Thompson.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, you know, I'm out of it.
I can tell.
I'm
It's
very
rough.
I'm very spacey right now.
I've
only had one cup of coffee, which normally
well,
gets it going for me.
That's not great, but the problem is we're barely into building this magazine. I mean,
Yeah.
all things told, and you're already starting to space out. I'm a little concerned.
So, well, and here's the thing about it is that I am making so we don't go to press until for another few weeks.
6 weeks?
Another 6 weeks. But I've done this enough to know that knowing that full well that May is such a hellscape for me that I want to do as much as I can now so that
Sure.
perhaps the fire in hell is, maybe just a low propane flame, something like that. A little bit later, we will be joined on the phone by James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, to talk about some of the best offensive linemen in the class of 2017. Been a couple weeks since we've caught up with James.
Yes. I don't know why.
I think
why haven't you caught up with him?
I think I forgot to email him when you left and say, "Hey, no show for 2 weeks."
Yeah.
But he will be joining
wondering
us
where those phone calls went.
here in a moment. But we have a special
Uh-oh.
in-studio guest
special.
Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, I got to do this.
A plug?
No, it's Tuesday, April 12th.
God.
Tuesday, April 12th,
Yeah.
2016, episode 113. 113, the number of RBIs for Carl Everett.
Ding.
In his illustrious Texas Rangers.
I feel like
that's a legitimate crazy person, Matt Stepp.
Yes, he doesn't believe dinosaurs existed.
No, he does not believe dinosaurs existed. That voice, those dulcet tones belong to Matt Stepp of theoldcoach.com and on Twitter at Matt_Steppapa817.
Yes, Tepper.
Do you find yourself getting a lot of email or mail for Matt Stepp with one P?
I've gotten a few, yeah.
Yeah,
I've gotten a little bit.
I imagine.
Yeah. Wearing my IMG colors today, Greg.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got in a war.
I didn't even start it. That was the bad part. But, hey, go Ascenders, I guess.
Yeah, you is that their mascot?
Yeah, whatever.
The Ascenders?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're ascending to do all the good things for all the kids in the country.
Listen, I like unique. As you know, as everyone in this room knows, I am a big fan of unique mascots.
Yes.
Ascenders is just a stupid mascot.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, like what's on the sideline.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a stupid. Okay. Anyway, let's get up. We're here to
Twitter
talk.
was fun last night.
We're here to talk football here in the Lone Star State. We got some headlines to get through. We'll start first. With another troubling problem coming out of story coming out of Baylor. Sean Oakman is under investigation for a sexual assault, which would make the third one in a year. Listen, the bottom line is right now that every time a story comes out of Baylor, it's something like this. And I hate to be the guy who says where there's smoke, there's fire, but
Yeah, at this point.
But now, and the other thing about it, remember Sean Oakman was a transfer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, from Penn State.
From Penn State, who got in trouble and got kicked off the team at Penn State.
Yeah.
I forgot about
And so then they bring him in. Same with, was it Ukwachu?
Sam Ukwachu, yeah.
Yeah, he was a transfer in from, he got kicked off the team at Boise State for much more severe things than Sean Oakman. But this is I know that we all, especially in the high school football community, we all admire Art Briles because of what he did. Stephenville and the way that he's been able to turn Baylor into a winner. But there's something stinky going on.
Yeah, and maybe other colleges need to take this as a lesson learned as far as how they handle transfers from other schools and how they go about their business. But you hate to paint entire program with a negative light, as far as this, and we don't want to enrage Baylor Twitter or anything, but
they already hate me.
Yeah,
We already hate
well,
Tepper
Baylor
hates
Twitter,
Baylor.
yeah, but it's just one of those things that when there a lot of times when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of smoke.
Well, and the other thing is that we all know that sexual assault and sexual crimes on campus are are rampant. It is a big problem. The president has come out and talked about it.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about
I have daughters, and I'm scared to death when they go to college.
What
you know?
a problem it is,
Yeah.
sexual violence on campuses. So this is not a problem unique to Baylor. That said, it seems to be something that is particularly flourishing in the Baylor football program, or at least the Baylor athletic program, and that's very troubling.
Yeah, and I think the more troubling part for me is every time this happens, I feel like you get a lot of empty platitudes about, we have to be more aware,
Yeah.
and we have to raise awareness on campus, and we have to teach these men, and yada, 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 yada. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of action, like with, beyond hoping that the legal system sorts it out for them.
And obviously, look, Sean Oakman is innocent, still proven guilty, and this is just an investigation. I don't believe he hasn't even been charged.
Yeah, he hasn't
even been
charged.
charged.
Yeah, it's allegations at this point.
Allegations,
but it still paints.
Sure.
It's still a negative light. I mean, as much as people will say innocent till proven guilty and those kind of things, which is all very true. The Twitter mob is going to be out there, and they're gonna say those things, and regardless, it's still bad press, and I don't know if Baylor really needs any more of that at this point.
I think you're exactly right. And the other thing is the transfer thing. That this is now, with Sam Ukuwachu, he has gone through the legal system. We know that he is guilty, and that was a big time problem for Baylor. If this is another transfer in, who Art Briles has decided and looked at and said, all right, we're bringing this guy in, we're giving him another chance, and it turns out that something like this happened, another sexual assault, then questions really need to be raised about the vetting process that's going on at Baylor.
And then unfortunately, that could have trickle-down effect with other schools as far as kids who maybe are deserving of a second chance and are good kids. Those kids may lose out on some opportunities because everyone's so scared to pull the trigger on taking these second chance kids.
There's a lot of tentacles to this. So let's get into high school stuff. And one of the big headlines that's come out from the high school ranks in recent days, Sean Robinson, the big-time prospect quarterback out of Denton Guyer, a TCU commit, I believe. Still? I don't know.
Yeah, he's
I don't
still
really,
committed to
he
TCU.
still is,
He still is. Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes because verbal
never
commitments
know.
are non-binding. I've just stopped. That's how jaded I've gotten. I've
Yeah.
just stopped paying attention to verbal commitments.
That's the same thing. Offers and everything. I always put offers in quotes now on Twitter because what's really an offer these days?
I don't care. I don't care if you verbally committed somewhere. I don't, because until you put pen to paper, it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at. But Sean Robinson is transferring from Denton Guyer to DeSoto. DeSoto, of course, has had a flurry of transfers in recent years, and now both in and out, and now they bring in their quarterback, Sean Robinson. Apparently his mom got a job there at DeSoto. I know that Guyer was not particularly enthralled with his performance last year, especially throwing the ball, but I mean, there's no doubt that there's talent there. The kid ran for 1,600 yards, just ran for 1,600 yards.
Yeah, he's a great talent. He's the son of both his parents are coaches. I mean, his mom is, people talk about his dad and how he's a football coach. I mean, his mom is one of the best girls basketball coaches in the area. She's won a couple of state championships. She's did a great job at Guyer. I mean, I don't follow girls basketball that closely, but I know she did, a really good job with that program as well. So she's a hot commodity, and it's just easier when both your parents are working at the same school and look at it like you want. I mean, it is within the rules, and it's just one of those things. I think obviously he's going to make DeSoto a lot better because they had a hole at quarterback with the graduation of Tristan Wallace and Jalen Nelson's move to Duncanville last year. They had a hole. They were going to be inexperienced there. So now you plug in one of the country's top dual threat quarterbacks into that offense where they already have Katie Nixon and Chenault and a couple of good running backs. I mean, they've got weapons. Now you throw in a great offensive line with three guys with D1 offers. Now you've got Sean Robinson. It makes DeSoto a lot better. same token, I think Geyer will be fine.
Yeah, I mean Geyer. Let's remember they were plugging in Luke Stillwell.
Yeah, and he performed well.
He was just fine, and there were a lot of people that I talked to that thought Stillwell should have been starting in the playoffs. Now, what happened was they basically, for those who don't know, for some reason, some of it's the fact that the receiving core for Geyer wasn't great last year, and part of it is on Robinson. But Robinson was not a great passer last year.
He didn't have a great year. I mean, I think anyone who could objectively look at his junior season would say he was not as good. He had a great sophomore year.
Sure.
He was unreal. And then he didn't have as good a year as junior year. I personally think he was a little nicked up. I don't know how healthy he was all year. I mean, I think he gutted through some things. You know, even I think in the San Angelo game, he didn't. Me and Max were at that game in the press box, and I don't think he ever looked 100% in that game. And then, like you said, I think his receiving core was a little young last year. So, combination of things, I think affected that. And Stillwell, you know, he performed well. And I think maybe for what Geyer does, he may fit. I think they're going to be a little more deliberate this year. They won't have the big playability with Robinson as well, but I think Stillwell may fit their scheme a little bit better.
But they've got plenty of runners too. That Noah Kane is back. They've got a stable
good up front. And they're always good up front.
Yeah.
You know,
Noah Kane
and
will
defensively.
be there forever.
Yes.
Noah Kane is the Perry Ellis of Texas high school football. He will
become
become the Perry Ellis of
He's
Texas high school
He's
football.
going to be All-State in 2027.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think this is an instance. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think this is an instance. DeSoto gets better, and especially they get that dynamic quarterback that they always like to have. That system, that playmaking quarterback that they always like to have. And now, but I also think Geyer's looking at this and being like, all right, I mean, we got another guy. You know, we're doing okay. We're not. We know
they've got more of the weapons to survive the loss
Exactly.
than DeSoto would be if it was the other way around. I think it's really the way to look at it.
It's the classic win-win. I think.
Yeah.
I think it'll work out for everyone.
We're joined by Matt Stepp at theoldcoach.com. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_Stepp817. So, of course, as always, a flurry of coaching changes across the state. You've had your finger on the pulse of it all year long. Which one of them have particularly stood out to you as surprising? I know that there have been a couple. The Navasota, the deal we've talked at length about.
Oh yeah, that was a surprising one. I thought Mark Smith's retirement at Madison caught me a little off guard. I
felt early, right?
It did feel a little early. I think Mark Smith has coaching left in him. It wouldn't surprise me if he got back in after a year or two. That wouldn't surprise me. I thought Shannon Hall's move from Colleen Shoemaker to Mansfield Summit was interesting. Summit on paper is going to be very young this year and a little bit down, and he had a great year at Shoemaker. That one just surprised me a little bit just from the fact that I thought that was more of a maybe he knows something we don't as far as the future goes. But I know at least for this year, I was like, that's curious.
I agree. Shoemaker always felt like for me last year that they were on the precipice of like really breaking through and really becoming one of those real powerhouse Central Texas programs. That one caught me by surprise.
The tricky thing with those Colleen schools, though, is the military base, right?
Yep.
I mean, like at least with another community, you're not at the whims of families moving in and out quite as much as you are at all those Colleen schools, and that's why you see there's sort of a lot of randomness to how good those teams are year to year.
It can be, and I mean, and the one that was most recent, Brownwood, really caught me off guard, just because of on paper how loaded they're going to. I mean, they were very young last year, and then Coach Howard's son is going to be a senior next year. And Connor Howard's a great player, so. That one surprised me a little bit, just because you would think his senior year, you don't like to move for your son's senior year for sure, especially when your son's team, on paper, looks like a contender to be at least winning Region 1.
It's popular to say, to be in the moment and say, oh, this is such a big year for high school football coaching changes. I think that while there are a couple of really high profile ones, Allen changing, Hewitt Midway, Temple, a few of those. It seems like this is just a pretty average year.
Usually realignment years are always really, really busy, and this one hasn't been as crazy. It was pretty busy in March when February and March, right after realignment, when Allen opened up, Midway, Mansfield. There were several name jobs that opened up, but after that, it's been a little quiet. I'll be interested to see what Snyder does. I have some familiarity with the situation there. One of my friends in James Polk, I grew up with him. He was there. He went to Gainesville, so I know a lot of people in that community. So I'll be interested to see what what they do with the search firm and who they bring in. I think they started interviews yesterday, and they're interviewing guys today. That'll be an interesting job. And you always see that domino effect where a guy gets one job and then it opens up another job, and then a guy takes that job and that job gets open. So the high school football coaching carousel it's starting, I think usually around May 1st, it's kind of, you may one or two more, but usually around May 1, it's kind of finally slowed down.
I gave Joe Willis a hard time when we had him on because he was literally the last thing we changed in this magazine was his coaching change. Was his move from Cedar Park to College of Heritage. But you're right. This is kind of the time when things slow down.
Spring ball's about to crank up.
Yeah, and everybody likes to have the full spring to get through. So I think that's where we're at. And of course, you'll keep us posted on theoldcoach.com.
I try. There's a lot to keep up with, but I try my best to keep up with it. There's a lot of great reporters out there that I rely on if I can't get information. But luckily, the coaches they keep me pretty plugged into that kind of thing.
I'm not used to seeing you without a hat though.
Yeah,
normally you're rocking your. I fully expected you to come in rocking a Baltimore Orioles hat.
Well, hey, we're 6-0 right
now.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
things are looking good. Yeah, I'm in my civilian clothes today. I'm
civilian clothes.
I'm at work. Yeah, I'm on my lunch break. That's how dedicated I am to the cause.
You see that, guys?
Very much appreciated.
On my lunch
break. This is a guy who loves DCTF Live right here.
And I just happened to be 5 minutes away in the Addison office, so I'm gonna come see Max and Tepper.
That's right. How can we
talk
turn
a little
you down?
High school football, and there's a Slotsky's not too far from here.
Good,
so
win-win.
So
win-win.
Yeah. Yes.
He is Matt Stepp. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_Stepp with 2 P's 817. Appreciate you hopping on, bud.
Thanks, boys. Enjoy the show. It's always I'm glad Max is back from his from traveling the world, and I get DCTF live once again. It's always a good day on my drive home when I can catch DCTF.
Yeah, but somebody's got to give me the podcast from yesterday so I can.
Don't worry, I'll put it up. Don't worry.
Anyway, he's Matt Stepp. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes, Matt Stepp, theoldcoach.com, and on Twitter at Matt_Stepp. We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Matt Stepp does. We are on Twitter at DCTF. We're on Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. We're on Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, you can see our fine work. That's negotiable, but you can see our work at TexasFootball.com. It's been a couple weeks since we talked a little bit recruiting because Max is out of town, that big jerk. Max is out of town.
You need to be nicer to me.
So we weren't. I really don't. So we were off the air for live shows for a couple of weeks. So we missed out on a couple of shows with our official recruiting analyst, James Lott. Thank goodness, though, Max is back, so we can be joined once again by James Lott, joining us to talk recruiting in the Lone Star State. James, how are you?
How we doing today, guys?
We are getting back in the swing of things, and it is, of course, spring has sprung. We are all looking forward to spring football. And I guess, first and foremost, as a recruiting guy, as a guy who has his finger on the pulse of all the big-time prospects across the Lone Star State, how often are you heading out to spring practices and seeing these guys get in there, kind of the grunt work?
Big time for me, guys, this part of the year. Really, I've been on the phone for the last couple of weeks with a bunch of the programs around the state just trying to find out spring ball dates and so forth. Really, I like to get out there and get in here and see these kids up close. And, the cool thing also is you sometimes bump into of course, the colleges are out recruiting also, so you'll run into Stanfords and Baylors and all those folks out there, which is really great also.
Last year, we're talking offensive linemen today, and last year it was a banner year for offensive linemen. Of course, Greg Little at the top of everyone's recruiting list ends up going to Ole Miss. Compared to last year, how would you kind of say that the 2017 crop of offensive linemen stack up?
Not quite as good. I would give it a B. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good group, but not as good as last year's, of course.
Interesting. And one of the guys that I know everybody has their eye on is the early Texas Tech commit, Jack Anderson, the offensive lineman out of Frisco. 6'4", 295, as they say, you can't teach that. But when you watch Jack Anderson on film and when you watch him in person, what stands out to you?
Boy, this kid is great. I love watching this kid play. He plays the game and he's just like a little boy out there having fun. I mean, he's like you said, he's about 6'4", 295. I see him play all the time because I live out in Frisco. But he committed to Texas Tech in October 2015 and seems to be one of those kids that's kind of sticking by his commitment. Great size, excellent feet and mobility. Kid has excellent explosion out of his stance. And he's a mauler. I mean, you cut the film on and you watch him, he just beats up people. He's a street fighter who will knock your block off. I really, really like watching this kid play. He sort of plays like he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Now, how much?
Another great athlete. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you, how much stock do you put into the scheme here? Because so Jack Anderson plays for Frisco, and the Raccoons very famously don't run the spread. They run kind of the flex bone type offense. As a Texas Tech commit, he would be going out there, and everybody knows what kind of offense Cliff Kingsbury and company run out in Lubbock. How much stock do you put into maybe a shift in philosophy as far as scheme is concerned?
Sometimes you look at that, but when you watch this kid, you just see so much of what you need to play. Just a great football player. So when you're a great football player, and as you watch him, he could fit in any scheme and be very, very effective wherever he went.
We're talking with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation, hashtag DCTF Live. Another guy in the DFW area, actually up in your neck of the woods as well, McKinney Boyd offensive lineman Tyrese Robinson, another monster. It's 6'4", 300 pounds. It seems to me he's already got the frame. This is a guy who is a big-time prospect, has been on people's radar for a while. What stands out about Robinson to you?
Like you said, the way he looks. You walk in, you spot him on the field, and you're like, who the heck is that? 6'4", 310, big athletic, almost looks like a basketball player up close, all-district performer, started since he was a sophomore. Can play both guard and tackle. Good length, long arms, has great hips, knees, and ankles. So he's a bender. He can move around, but very strong run blocker. He's another kid that gets in and out of his stance and will maul the guy in front of him. So he's really, really fun to watch. Funny, you guys were talking earlier on the program. Another guy that's an early commit to Oklahoma, but like you said earlier, what does that mean? I mean, I think he visited Texas a couple of days ago after he committed to Oklahoma. So you never know with these kids these days. But like I said, another great prospect that's coming out that's special to watch.
You said the word bender. I'm interested if you can kind of explain to our audience, when you're talking about a guy being a bender, what do you mean by that?
Well, if you think about it, when you play offensive, defensive line, they've got to get in and out of those stances. And sometimes bigger kids don't lack a lot of flexibility. So when you hear me say bender sometimes, that's what I'm saying. It's a kid that can easily get in and out of his stance like a smaller guy. So he's athletic, he can bend, he's got flexible ankles and knees, so he can pop in and out of his stance with no problem.
We're talking with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. One more guy you wanted to talk about, and I'll tell you, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. I don't know what's in the water down at Cy-Fair. But Austin Decalis, the offensive lineman and defensive lineman there for Cy-Fair, 6'5", 325. Jeez. My goodness gracious. Just a monster up front. He's got the size. Does he have the technique?
Definitely. And the cool thing about this kid is he's coming up in a zone blocking scheme. Cy-Fair their coach runs zone blocking when offensively, so this kid's going to come into college already knowing how to zone block guys. So that's an attribute that he has. But he's another long kid, long arms, another great bender. excellent mirror ability, so he can pass set with ease. Tremendous athlete. Very competitive kid. Will get after you when you watch the film on him. He really gets after his opponent. Strong academic kid. Very, very strong. He's on an honor roll. LSU, Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame are all after him. It'll be interesting with him because he's got his teammate, Brock Wright, who's the top tight end in the country, has committed to Notre Dame. So Notre Dame being academic, I'm just surprised they're not more in the picture right now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him join his friend Brock Wright up at Notre Dame.
And he's another guy who is playing tackle, a guy that I know that's the kind of guy, all due respect to centers and guards, but tackles are the ones that everybody kind of keeps an eye on. Everybody tries to find those bookend guys, and it looks like Deculus is that kind of guy who's already got great experience out on the edge. Perfect, long, like I said, 6'6", 320 long arms. Perfect guy with what they're looking for these days out on the edge to block these fast defensive ends coming to sack your quarterback. He's James Lott. He's the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at JL Scouting. James, appreciate it. We'll do this again next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Talk to you soon.
There he goes, James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. So that Brock Wright, we'll talk tight end at some point down the road. He's 6'5". He's 6'5", 245.
Yeah.
These kids are just huge.
Just giant.
And I know that I know this is not breaking news.
No, but still.
That kids are getting bigger. But I think when you actually say it aloud and you go, oh, Jack Anderson, 6'4", 295.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Robinson is 300 pounds. And Austin Deculus is 325. Like, goodness gracious. Yeah. These guys are just huge. And, like, these are guys who are ready to step in, maybe not technique-wise, but at least from a frame perspective, they can step in and play right away. The days of needing those years, needing to redshirt, needing a freshman and sophomore year to fill out your frame, for these top-tier guys, they're gone.
Coaches are looking at them now and going, we're 3 steps away, basically, from having these guys ready to go as freshmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jack Anderson is interesting out of Frisco. I'm really interested in the scheme thing
and
there.
how it translates.
Because Tech obviously runs this wide open spread, and if you've ever watched Frisco, it's pretty much the opposite of that. Yeah. They're going to bunch him up and plow forward, and so he's an outstanding run blocker.
Right.
But I know that when they do pass, look, you've got to be able to do everything as an offensive lineman. And, I think that he's a guy that has the athleticism to do a variety of different things up front.
I think the video showed, too, relative to his size compared to the other guys, he does. He bullies people around. Yeah. And, you already have the run blocking thing, lots of reps there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, smack some guys around when they're trying to get to the quarterback too.
I like the word he used, and he's used it a couple times as a mauler. He's just a guy who
does. Yeah, like I said, the other 2 guys have a little more size, but if you watch his film, he doesn't seem quite as big, and yet he's pushing people around just as much.
Yeah. So that is those are some of the top prospects of the offensive line in the class of 2017. Tomorrow, as of right now.
Well, there's no show.
As of right now, we don't have a show.
We don't have a show.
We may have some hashtag content for you.
So I have just confirmed our hashtag content during the show. Yeah.
Can I?
No, we'll leave it a secret.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise.
Got a big time interview tomorrow. You guys are want to.
It'll be a fun interview we're about to do.
You'll want to tune in. So that is coming up tomorrow, but we will not have a show. I've got to skip out of town for a moment. That is going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Thank you to Matt Stepp on Twitter at Matt_Step817 for joining us in the studio. And thanks to James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, on Twitter at JL Scouting. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you tomorrow on DCTF. No, we won't.
No.
Crap. We'll see you
Thursday.
Thursday.
We'll have hashtag content tomorrow.
We'll see you Thursday on DCTF Live.